Hello friends, Jennifer Pearson here, Thistle Gypsy, and I had a request from Tassie Tarot to share the spread that I use with Brian Froud's Faeries Oracle, and so I thought I would do that. It's a wonderful excuse to hang out with the fairies for a little bit, but I feel like I need to say first that you know, some people do have trouble. I did a review of this and I kind of said this in that review as well, but this is quite some ways back, a couple of years ago. You know, some people have a hard time either connecting with this deck, or they find it mischievous. It gets itself lost and things like that. You know, they think they have it and then they don't, and that kind of thing. So I will say I had read about that tricksy aspect of this this deck here that I have. Here's the cards. I'll get to them in a minute. And so when I got the deck, and I was so happy to have it because, you know, I grew up with Brian Froud's fairy artwork and gnomes and other things that he's done. And so I was so excited to see that there was a deck that I was just very excited to have the fairies there to get this deck. So, you know, it came into my life with that level of excitement and energy, and having read what what other people's experiences were, I actually put out, was it fruit and seeds, and so I did a little ceremony. And as I've said on my site here, or my YouTube channel numerous times, you know, I'm not a pagan per se, but when I got this deck, I thought, well, I do have a good imagination, and I thought, we will just invite these fairies in. We will make them feel special and honored for arriving here. So I actually, I think it was it bread and fruit and seeds, and seeds as in the sort of things I would eat. So it's like sharing with the fairies, you know, like sunflower seeds or peanuts or whatever. And I just put them in a bowl in the middle of my table and left it there for a few days in honor of the fairies. And then when I was through, this was all biodegradable stuff. Okay. Well, I think I did, so I must not have done bread. I must have kept it to fruits and seeds and vegetables and stuff like that. And then at the end of those few days, I actually scattered it out along the perimeter of my property, and it wasn't a huge amount, so, you know, so I cast it in the shrubs, you might say, again, to honor the fairies and their connection to nature, etc. So whether that facilitates my getting along with this deck, I don't know, but there it is. There it is. I enjoyed it thoroughly doing it. It tickled me to do it, and to me that it was sort of a fairy-ish, it was bringing the fairy energy fully into me. Now, since that time, I've started to think, you know, a little bit about how we connect with decks. This was an easy connection with me. Now, I won't say that I can read this intuitively. I won't say that. I still do rely on the guidebook quite a bit. Yeah, so I will eventually probably make notes to simplify, but it's a guidebook worth reading and reading repeatedly. But I do just feel connections with the cards and the personalities represented by the cards. But there is something to, I was going to say something about fairy energy, and now I can't. Oh, my feeling about what happens with decks and connecting with decks or not connecting with decks. I feel like what we do is that we invite whatever spirits or spirit guardians are around us, that we invite them. It's us connecting with the deck, but to me the deck is an intermediary. It's an intermediary. So to me what we're doing is we're inviting the energies around us. We're inviting whatever you believe in terms of spirits, angels, whatever you believe, to connect to the deck as well in order to speak through it to us. So I think, the handling of the deck and, again, my excitement in receiving it, etc., that, that results in an invitation for whatever is interested in using these cards to help me communicate, help me grow, help me do readings for others. It invites whatever that energy is into the deck as well. So there is that aspect, and then there's another aspect, and that is that this deck, it is tricksy, and it's intentionally tricksy, and it's part of the whole energy of the deck, is that things are a little bit out of order. So in the guidebook, you have the numbers on the cards and you have the guidebooks, so that you can refer. However, there are clues in here that the way they have them grouped is not solid. It's not intended to be finished yet. It's not finished. So certain cards, like that are, they call them the singers. I think of them as radiances. Kind of closer to spirit than to the material realm. There's a whole suit of these. There are actually 5 suits here. And so there are those. And they are pretty straightforward. So they're all grouped together, and you see these pictures. They all look very ethereal. Definite lack of substance to them. And then you have the she, okay, the royalty, essentially, of the lords and ladies of fairy, as it says here, the royalty of the deck, of the fairy realm. So it has those, and at the very end of that, where is he? You have Oh That Gnome, okay? So I'm not going to dig out the card because I've shuffled the deck. So you have Oh That Gnome. This is not one of the lords and ladies of the deck, I'm sorry. Of the she. This is a trickster figure. And yes, the trickster can be one of the lords and ladies of the deck. But to me, that was the biggest clue. Oh That Gnome. And this is called Trickster, Creative Chaos, Wild Gifts, Breaking Habits and Patterns. Okay, so this is telling me, this is not, he's not part of that. He needs to go either in the Faery Challengers or Fairy Guides and Guardians or Helpers. Alright, so there is an implication and an invitation in the books. I think she even says it somewhere, in the book somewhere, and in the ordering of the cards, that is telling you to take command of the idea of who belongs in what suit. Alright, so in the back here, where it provides us areas for notes, what I did was I reordered some of them. I think most of them make sense where they're at. but I reordered them. So there's, for example, in the guides or the helpers or something, there was a card that looked very much like one of these cards. It's called the Fawn, and I thought, oh well, the Fawn obviously does not belong here. It obviously belongs here in the radiances. And so, and the gnome obviously did not belong in the she. It belonged in one of the other categories. So I did a little shifting, and that was part of getting to know the deck. All right, so so there are 5 suits. Now we're getting, finally at 10 minutes, we're getting to the spread that I use with this deck. So there are 5 suits. There's the singers, or what I call radiances. There's the she, the lords and ladies. There are the fairy guides, the fairy helpers, and the fairy challengers, which I have on this page. And I'm not sure, and there's 13 in each, but I think I didn't end up with 13 in each in the end. But anyway, it was intended that there would be 13 in each. And with that 5, and I like 5 card spreads, and I thought, okay, well, maybe I can make a spread based on this. And so I did. And so the idea is this. I think the first time I did it, I took out all of the singers or radiance cards, all of the she, all of the guides, all of the helpers, all of the challengers. And I shuffled those suits, those 13 cards individually, and used them for each of the 5 positions. In other words, for the position that has to do with the radiances, I would only pull from the radiance cards. For the one that has to do with the challengers, I would only pull from the challenger cards. But I don't know, it felt limiting, and I decided, and I really haven't done that since. I did it a few times, and I thought, you know what, I need to break free. I need to break free. So I shuffled this deck, but I feel like I need to give it a little bit. I need to give it a little bit more of a shuffle, having handled it and shown some of these cards. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it down here. The center card is the essence of the situation. The essence of the situation. And you know, the perfect card to have here would be one of those radiance cards. But, you know, maybe the essence of the situation is the soul shrinker, or the glanconer, or whatever, you know. So to me, that tells you that the essence, it's rotten at the core, you might say. There's something rotten at the core. So the center card is the essence. The card at the top is what rules you. That, again, and that would be ideally one of the lords or ladies, one of the she, what rules you, the essence, what rules you. Then you have your fairy guide, okay? So this is the guide that will help move you in a positive direction. Then you have a fairy helper, somebody who will help, again, with the fairy guide, or help you overcome, if it's a negative situation, help you overcome that. And if it's challenger down here, it tells you that there's maybe something you need to use that energy somehow in a positive way. And then here it's what is challenging you. Okay, so the essence of the situation, what rules you, and to me that again, what rules you is something that you can't escape in the situation, something you can't escape in the situation, something that needs to be addressed. Fairy guide, what will move you forward. Down below, the fairy helper is just helping energy. And then finally, the fairy challenger. And the fairy challenger is going to be something that challenges you, something that's holding you back. Maybe something you're having difficulty letting go of. So, I don't know that I've done one of these in a while. So, And I don't have anything specific. I was thinking about it. I don't have anything specific right now. I often like to pull from the fairies. I feel like they're giving me that kind of nudge right now by spreading them out. Sometimes I will pull from the top, but a lot of times I spread them out. I'm going to spread them out. They're feeling too tied down. They're feeling too rigid. Alright, so let's see, fairies. I have to say, this isn't the easiest deck for me to pull from like this because they do all look the same. Some decks I will see like color differences or things will stand out. Sometimes there's little faces here. It's often this little guy who triggers me to pull a card. So the essence of the situation, I feel like it's going to come mainly from the top here. The essence of the situation. Now you're speaking to me. So this is going to be the essence of the situation here. The essence, what's ruling me, fairies? Who's ruling me? Who's the ruler at the moment? What's you? Look at that. Whoops. Oh, here we go. Couldn't resist turning them over. But I'm gonna set them to the side here. Okay, so now who is my helper? Goodness knows I need helpers. Who is my helper? Oh my gosh. Sometimes they just get me, and it's like, oh God, it must be you. Oh, that's great, Nellis. Oh no, that's not. It's supposed to be my guide. I'm sorry, not my helper. That's my guide. All right, and I always do that. I go from the center up and then around. Okay, so now my helper. Now my helper. Is it that funny face? I think it is that funny face. Oh, alright. Mickle-a-muckle. And lastly, who's my challenger? Who's my challenger? I think I'm going to go back up to this one that I touched. Oh, the feline. So I actually got some fairly appropriate cards, especially the last two, in terms of the positions and the cards related to that position, the suit related to that position. So here we have it. I think I have Nellis, the alchemist. I'm almost positive that I have her actually among the she. So what we have here, so we would say the essence of the situation, and I'm just going to say in general my situation right now, and it does make some sense, is the singer of connection. The singer of connection. Sorry for the glare. So this is one of the, what I call radiance cards, spirit cards. And to me this looks like a thistle. It looks like the thistle, and the leaves, it looks like thistle leaves to me. Right here, these look like thistle leaves, and this looks like a thistle blossom here. And the way that works for me is, for me now in particular, and it being this singer of connection, is the old Scottish legend, I guess, that why this thistle is one of the Scottish symbols, is that when they were being invaded, there was a sneak attack at night, and one of the invaders stepped on a prickly thistle and yelped, and thus everyone was warned and awakened to the danger that was around them, and managed to chase them off. And this is active in my life because I'm in the United States and we've got some political stuff going on right now, and I do feel like this is a active in my life that I'm thinking about strongly right now. It's also about how you're connected, because thistles are hard to get rid of because they're very connected underground. So, you know, it's partly a card of community and community warning and community action and reaction. So yes, you know, that is part of what's going on right now. I'm not happy with it, but it is part of what's going on right now. So we have that card in the appropriate place. This helper is actually one of the helpers, and this is one of the challengers here from the deck. But I'm going to go up here. So this would be what rules me in this situation. And this, again, I'm sorry about the glare. I can't seem to get it off of here very well. But this is the Singer of Initiation. And I see this as entering the Minotaur's maze. Entering the Minotaur's maze. Because it's about initiation, and certainly that was, you know, an initiation. But also because to me this is the horns. These are horns. This is like the middle of the forehead of the bull, and this is the bull's head. So even though these are radiances, I see figures that are appropriate in them for the name and the meaning of the card. So, yeah, I feel like we've all been pulled into the maze, I guess I would have to say. So I am trying to negotiate, you might say, the political influence maze, trying to influence people to get them to act in an appropriate manner. And, you know, I would just say that this is, again, this maze exists. It is something I can't avoid. It's that initiation is something I can't avoid. It might be our entire nation is being initiated right now. Alright, so my fairy guide, this is wonderful. Again, I think I'm pretty sure that she is actually among my she, that I have her listed among my she, Nellis the Alchemist. But I think of her as not quite like the Temperance card, but kind of like the Temperance card. Let's see if I have her. Yeah, I've got Nellis. Nellis is in there. Oh, and I opened right up to her. Do you like that? Inner transformation, irrevocable change. So, you know, I'll read you a little bit. Again, I can't really, and in this book you have a lot of kind of background on the card, and then you have a more simple starter reading in reverse. And sometimes I will read both of these, both the upright and reversed meanings, but I have not really shuffled this deck for reversals, and I just don't feel a lot of need to. But occasionally the reversed meaning does make more sense to me. Here it's the stuck becomes unstuck, the block begins to move. You may have to run to keep up with the speed at which the situation around you is moving. You may also be surprised by the directions things and you are taking. You may find your plans, even your desires and dreams, changing as the transformative process takes place. And I think this is great. I'm so happy. I'm so happy, Nellis. I'm so happy. And this is one of the reasons that I like this deck, is I feel like I can relate to most of the cards kind of directly. Now this is one of the helpers, I think. I don't know, Mickle might be one of the challengers, but I think I turned him into a helper. I'll have to see. I would see, I don't really get why he's a helper here, so I'll be curious to read it and see. But I do think of him as a cheerful character. Yeah, I have him as a helper. I think he is a helper here too. 49. Okay, yeah, everyday blessings, play, and mixed blessings. Now, I'm not... Alright, Mickle. He's reminding me to play. He came up not too awfully long ago for me. So, I need a little Mickle in my muckle. I need more play in my life, which is so true. Mickle and muckle, a mixed blessing. It says, lighten up. What is needed here is the benefit of childlike, trusting heart and childlike wisdom, seeing directly into the true nature of things. Don't complicate matters. What you see is what you get. Don't look for hidden and subtle meanings and motivations, because they are not there in this case. Go to the heart of the matter, the simple core hidden behind complexities. Don't be so caught up in thinking about the future that you can't see what is happening now. Welcome adventure into your life. Try something you've never done before. So, you know, he's got a little bit of a fool aspect there to him. And then we have the feline, which is interesting. I'm not sure how guilt is acting in my life, unless, you know, these could be my actual cats who are not very happy with me introducing another cat into things. But let's take a look. That's definitely a Faery Challenger all the way around. I think that's the last card. Maybe. Yep. So it's getting it right. Oh, okay. Yes, I do have a problem with that right now. You know, all of this to me, thus far, again, like I said, this is pointing out the political situation to me, and this hugely big time. And so that's how I'm seeing it. And when I look at the keyword here, getting it right, yes, I've got letters to write to people in Congress, and I'm spending too much time worried about getting it right. And of course, as the Nellis turns up, things are changing so quickly that it's hard to keep up and get things out. Says delayed completions, tidying up loose ends. And I'm just going to read the starter reading. The feline looks out of his card accusingly, reminding us of things undone, promises unkept, and duties unfulfilled. Well, and there's that aspect too, is as I deal with this aspect of life, this political aspect of life, trying to be a conscious citizen, a lot of stuff around me is also not getting done. He says that we can't expect to have things go right when we are trailing so much unfinished business behind us. Oh, feline, just stop, okay, I know, he's guilting me big time. And this card is about guilt. I guess I know that. He's guilting me. Dragging that stuff around tires us. It uses up energy that we need for other things. Okay. If we would just take care of these things that cause so much mental clutter. And to me, it goes on and on. I feel like I'm being chastised. Okay, so that's the Faery Challengers. And that's very true, that the need to address these situations and write these letters, or in my case, I fax things. They do create a lot of mental clutter that I can't quite get past, as well as absorbing the information of just what happened on any given day, which, it's crazy. What do I have on the bottom? Oh, I have Geo the Slow. I love Geo the Slow. To me, he's one of the helpers. I don't know if he was originally a challenger. Geo the Slow. I'm not going to go into Geo the Slow, but to me, he's tempering the feline a little bit, saying, you know, it's okay to take your time. It's okay to take your time, and you know that these things will take time as well. The adjustment that needs to take place is going to take some time, so I do have some time. It's okay to be slow. So there, feline. I'm going to say my Geo trumps my feline. So there it is, an example of my reading. I would even say this came to mind as I was reading the feline, actually, in terms of helpers. This Mickle a Muckle card comes to me as enlighten up, etc. Is that one of the ways I cope with the political situation in the United States right now is that I watch the late night comedians, and last night, I'm doing this on a Friday night, and last night there was the summer edition of the Saturday Night Live news, whatever they call it, news program, during which Tina Fey started sheet caking. She calls it sheet caking, in which all of the anxiety and anger that is produced by our current White House and sluggish to act Congress is taken out, or is taken out on a cake, and is fed by eating a cake, binging on a cake. It's great. It's great. It's genius. It was perfect. It was so yes, I do rely quite a bit on the Mickle a Muckle. I am not very humorous or playful, but I do seek it out from others. I will say that. All right, so there's my ramble. There's my ramble with the fairies, and that's my Faeries Oracle spread. And certainly you could do this with any other deck. This, you know, it's not extraordinary, so this is the essence of the situation. What rules you, could be psychological. In this case, I think it's partly, I would say even largely external. But in other words, something that is present and you can't change in the short term. This is a guide to help move you forward. This is helping energy. And this is something that's challenging you. And Geo I just took off the bottom of the deck because I was curious. So yeah, it can be used with any deck, but I find it works well. The only other thing I will usually do with this deck is just draw 3 cards. Sometimes I draw 1 card, but I'm a little compulsive. I like extra information, and so I will usually draw 3 just to see their interaction, or like where something is trending, I guess is how I tend to think of it. But this is my check-in. As usual, fairies for me are very accurate. Very accurate. And it's always curious to me that they can be this accurate. Just to ramble a little bit longer, at one time I do my love readings on this channel, and at one time I used the fairies for the love readings, and people just they didn't like it. They didn't like it. And I don't know that if it was, some people were getting some harsh messages at that time, but I don't think of this as a harsh deck. I think just some of the imagery, you know, I think that's amusing. Some people might, I suppose, consider it gross. And so some of it, of course, is very beautiful. But, you know, I think that some people are just really put off by the little people. And so it wasn't... Oh, and there's Oh That Gnome. Oh my gosh. Oh, that gnome was waiting. It was lurking in the next card. See, I get tickled by that. I get a kick out of that. But other people, it might mean nothing. So, anyway, just to show up and stick his tongue out at me. Oh, that gnome shows up. Just because I was talking about him earlier. All right, everybody. That's it. I'm out of here. That's enough of a ramble. Take care. Bye-bye.